Welcome to UpYourStack podcast. I am your host, Noah Berk. Every week we feature interviews with some of our favorite developers who've either built their apps on HubSpot or have integrated with HubSpot to help you get the most out of your HubSpot tech stack. And today I have Tom from Geckoboard, who's going to be sharing a little more information about what they do and why it's so cool. And I don't want to steal all the thunder here. So, Tom, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself, your background, your title, and what does Geckoboard do?
Cool, sure. So I'm Tom. I'm Geckoboard's CEO, and we make dashboard software. So we integrate with about 90 different services, and we make it super simple to connect those services and then pull together data from different data sources onto the same dashboard. We try and make it real time wherever possible, and we also do a lot of work to make those dashboards shareable. So it's all about, for us, it's all about creating feedback loops for your team. So you might have the reporting tools within things like HubSpot, but often people don't look at them. And for what we do is we put that data into a really nice, accessible dashboard that's totally bespoke for your team and make it shareable. So we automatically snapshot it through into things like Slack. We make it really look good, really good on TVs. So if you want it up in front of your sales team or up in front of your support team, we're like the best at that. And yeah, and I guess the other thing is making it really easy as well. So I think a lot of people struggle when it comes to things like dashboard. And really dialing into exactly what you want isn't necessarily that straightforward. And so we do a lot of work both in the product to make it super simple to get set up, so you can get up and running and build a dashboard genuinely in 10, 20 minutes, even if you're not
Wow.
technical, no need for a data scientist. And the other thing is just maintaining it as well, making it really easy to edit.
Yeah.
And it's
So
also fun.
how did this
Yeah, sure.
yeah, so Tom, how did this come about? Dashboards have been around for a long time. Like, why say, okay, all of a sudden I'm gonna create a company who does this? Like,
Well,
where did this idea come
sure. Well,
from?
we've been around a long time. We were founded in 2010, but Paul, our founder, I'll tell you his journey, I guess. So he was working on big data warehouse projects for banks and things like that. And these projects were going for years and cost millions of pounds to develop. And then he was just really frustrated that at the end of the day, they do this work and the teams would not really have any better access to data or be any more connected, have any better feedback. It would be very gatekeeper. There would be your data scientist, there'd be your data scientist or your data team having better access.
Sure.
But actually, like the people on the floor were still in the dark, didn't really know what's going on. And so this was playing away at his mind. He didn't really like the culture, like the fact that, in this day and age, like people ought to know what's going on. They ought to have that feedback loop of how their teams perform.
Agreed.
And that really bothered him. And then the other thing, I guess, was back in 2010 was the rise really of SaaS. And all of a sudden APIs were there. And for the first time, people's data was in different systems and there was no real way of getting them out. And so those two things combined. And then Paul tried a few different ideas, but one got traction. He was trying the lean startup thing, trying to build an MVP, get it out there.
Of
And
course.
then one just took off, and that was Geckoboard. He put it on Hacker News, and it just exploded. He got lots of love, lots of early usage, and that's the journey, really. It really
That's a
was.
really cool journey. And I think, especially from the standpoint of back in those days,
Mm,
in my background, I used to sell, we'll call it reporting, dashboarding software
yeah.
to OEMs, to software companies, and just how important it was to visualize. So
Wow.
I get where the whole space comes
Yeah.
from and that piece. So, what would you say are some of the key tractions you've seen growth over the years, and especially compared to a lot of these other players in the marketplace? Why you guys?
I think one of the big things is real time. So we do a lot of work to try and get your data updated as fast as possible. And with stuff like HubSpot now, most of our metrics can update instantly. And you need that if you're wanting, particularly an operational team, to get people excited about those new deals, or to be able to spot if you've got a big backlog of support tickets that all of a sudden come in, or people are really
Yeah,
on the line. You need that real fast element. And so that's one big thing that we do. The other is that because we don't want to have a data expert in this, like we want to be a no code type solution, we do a hell lot of work to take the data that comes out of these APIs and actually present it to you as the metric that you know and expect. Because that isn't what comes out. What comes out is raw data. And actually, like, if you want to know your conversion rate and stuff like that, you have to do quite a lot of work. And things like HubSpot's not so bad, but things like Shopify or some of the support tools like Intercom and Zendesk, like there is a lot of work doing. And so we go above and beyond to
sure.
make sure that it's calculated. And then the other thing is the other big slant on Geckoboard is the sharing of it. So again, as I said,
Yeah.
we're not designing for one person who's invested in that data to be able to better access it. We're designing to empower that person to make other people interested in it. So it's all about the sharing, making the data visualizations really easy to understand, making the dashboards engaging by having like a combination of metrics, goals, and feeds so they can see your new deals come in or your new tickets come in. So it's all about making it engaging and changing who's paying attention to that data.
That's really cool. And I think it's interesting you mentioned that. It's like the sharing of the data and the dashboards and reports. Because I remember when I was in that career, it was always for the end user, but it wasn't necessarily designed to like share
Mm,
per se. It was meant to have the end user to be able to see whatever data they were trying to visualize inside the software application. But really, what you've done is you developed a solution because we hear from clients all the time, like the sales leader needs to see it, or a CX leader needs to see it, or maybe a marketing product manager needs to be able to see the data, what the feedback is coming in. And you've designed and developed your products that really focuses on that, it sounds like.
yeah.
So, you had mentioned something earlier, and it really comes down to the ease of use. Why is that such a critical thing versus some of the perhaps other competitors in the space?
Well, I think that dashboards are inherently hard, or any report is inherently hard, because you can, in words, say quite easily what you care about. But then actually, when you have to try and work out how to build that. Is this a HubSpot? Is this a property on a contact or a company or a deal? If you want to filter it down, all that kind of thing, it just gets hard. And so if
Yeah.
that combined with the fact that in dashboards they're not like there is ROI immediately in terms of the time saving and that you don't have to manually go in and copy and paste this data out into a spreadsheet that you're then sharing with your exec team once a week, whatever. There's that time saving, but the actual kind of big benefit, the team performance benefit, is one that takes longer, right? And the ROI, while it's
Mm.
huge, is harder to prove. And so you end up finding that people can put it on a long and delay it. So the ability to do it very quickly and do it yourself is really important. The other is the dashboards. If you're doing it right, evolve a lot. So to keep it current, your current priorities, your current OKRs to be using, that kind of thing, you need to be updating all the time. And too often when people build dashboards, they do sometimes, for instance, people code their own or they hook something together with spreadsheets. Great, but you can do that first, but then your goals are going to change. The APIs might change, and the ability to easily edit it is really key. And I think the other thing we find is that once people get traction with one or two, you realize, oh, actually, there's a whole lot of other things I ought to be tracking or want to be tracking here. Like I want a dashboard for each teammate, maybe, or product line, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, like the kind of again ROI of it being easy to do rather than again something you need to get a developer involved with or like a reporting expert involved
Who
is
who generally is your customer then? Who's
right.
purchasing Geckoboard? Is it a sales leader? Is it a marketing leader? Is it as a customer service leader? Who is
Yeah,
your customer saying, I need that?
two primary OSPs are leaders of support teams and leaders of sales teams. We also find in smaller businesses, we're selling to execs sometimes and founders and CEOs as well. But it tends to be quite senior because I think, again, that stakeholder, like this is a management thing as much as it is just a tool in
Yeah.
a stack. And so you need that leadership buy-in to make it work because this is going part and parcel with being clear on your goals and having the kind of team processes in place to really make it sing. We've orientated the business more around support and sales the last year or so, actually. So traditionally, we were used a bit more by marketing teams or by founders of tech companies. But we found that the customers that need us most tend to be those operational teams. Operational teams are very kind of
Yeah.
real time in terms of what they care about. Like they care about how many tickets they've sold today, or how many deals are going through the pipeline right now, or how many.
So a lot of it's heavy on the support teams, and it sounds it makes sense. Like you want to be able to see how many tickets you're handling, the frequency, the urgency, what you want to get back to first, second, third. And you're right. And tool HubSpot can give you some of that visualization, but if you just have a dedicated dashboard for it,
Yeah.
it provides a deeper layer of visibility, I
Yeah,
would say.
I think the other thing is really key that I've not talked much about yet as well is that most people are using multiple tools, right? And HubSpot is great. You've
Yeah.
got obviously all the different hubs,
Yeah.
but still it's quite common that you're using a tool like Aircall alongside it, or maybe your e-commerce, you're also using Shopify, Or if you might be using a more powerful support tool like Intercom or Zendesk, or you might still invariably, a lot of people use spreadsheets a lot or have their own proprietary databases. So we also integrate with all that. And we also allow you to add that to the same dashboards easily. And if you've got, we have some customers who've got slightly complicated HubSpot setups. Maybe they've merged a company as well. And with Geckoboard, you can have both companies, both different HubSpot accounts on the same dashboard as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and be able to have a side by side comparison. That's awesome. And so on that train of thought here, like how do you fill in the gaps within the HubSpot ecosystem in your opinion? Like someone's, hey, listen, I see there's reports and dashboards in HubSpot. And I know you'd mentioned earlier that you can bring data from multiple sources, but what is that talk track you generally talk through with customers about why you're still going to use Geckoboard?
Yeah, well, I think the sharing mechanism is key. So the fact that they look great on TV, they update in real time, that's paramount. The multi-data tools is the other one. And the multiple integrations and different sources of data is another key one. And then we also do a little bit more around things like goals as well. So I think HubSpot has certain restrictions on what you can set goals on and certain plans and everything. And we don't have that as well. So you can work over that.
That's awesome. And what does the future roadmap look like for Geckoboard? Like, what's coming out next, and how does AI playing a part in all of this?
Oh, good question. So, well, the thing that I'm most excited about right now is that we've actually just, I think, very coincidental timing, is we've just shipped our brand new HubSpot integration. Actually, I don't think we've marketed it yet. So, hopefully, I'm not breaking some kind of marketing.
Well, this is coming out in a couple. This is gonna be delayed by a month or two. So by the time
We'll be all right.
this episode lands,
But we've completely written that from the ground up. So it's basically all the metrics now, way more powerful filtering. Um, yeah, it's just a massive upgrade and super fast update. Like it's instant in most cases. So we're continuing to do that, and we're actually extending support for the support hub as well now, which wasn't something we traditionally supported. So that's one thing.
awesome.
But we're really doubling down on that as well. So we get a lot of feedback from teams that they'd like more around the gamification side of things. So to really celebrate when a new deal comes in, who's just those good things that happen in the team and like really drag attention to it. So we're looking at doing things around that. We're looking at things like making it easier to spin up dashboards for each team or each team member as well. At the moment, that's very possible and we'll help you do it, but it's a little bit more manual that way. And then also, so our roots were in TV dashboards in your office. That's where we started out. There's a lot of things that we've done recently to make the dashboards more interactive. So you can, if you see a trend, you can drill into it and try and understand why that's going on. Or you can see the tickets or the deals or the contacts behind that. So that's something we want to lean into more as well. And then there's just always more around customization that people want as well, like slightly richer visualizations or a bit more control to really dial in. So those are all on the radar. The other thing that we're looking at doing as well is allowing more kind of calculations on the metrics as well. So we support all the common stock things you want to do, and we also support all the customer properties that HubSpot's so great at allowing you to do. But we want to do more around really complicated combining that, and we're going to offer that as combination of service and product as well going forward. So if you come to us and say, look, we've got this really weird thing that we need to do, but it's really important to us as a business, we will help you do that, either via the product or as professional services. In terms of AI, so there's lots that I'd like to do eventually, but I think right now the focus is actually making sure that where it affects customers' metrics. So for instance, in support, AI is a big deal. We want to make sure that we can support tracking the AI related metrics there. So because you want to separate like how your human team is operating compared to your AI. And
you're kind of like splitting. So it's more about delineating between, was it a human fulfilled ticket or was it a AI fulfilled ticket, and then be able to delineate between the two based upon, it's almost like an agent.
That kind of thing, yeah. And then there's a lot of work going on in places like Zendesk in terms of classifying the tickets too. So, and CSAT's a very common support metric, and being able to do that in AI as well. And I think that would also happen with sales as well. So like scoring, you've got things like Gong scoring how well your calls have gone and whether you should be doing more of that. I think those are metrics that are going to become more and more important on team dashboards. And so we want to be supporting that where we can.
So one of the cool things I think you mentioned earlier, if I had to, when we go back to that question earlier, where you're answering more about your ICP,
Mm,
really Geckoboard is for anyone who has multiple technologies. Oftentimes you need to share what that board is to a greater audience, whether you
mm,
want to put it on a TV or you need a regular weekly Friday report, you're bringing multiple different data
mm,
sources together, you're mashing them together to be able
yeah.
to give a better view of what's actually going on inside the organization. So Tom, being the CEO of Geckoboard and running this organization, what are some of the fun learning lessons or experiences that you could part with people who are listening to this episode today? Like, what would you share with them?
Oh, wow. I don't know where to start. I think I was late to the importance of setting out a longer term vision. So we're very much a product and engineering company at our heart, and
Mhm.
we're very big fans of the kind of lean movement and being agile and minimal viable products. So getting to the value as early as possible and being agile. So if you get feedback, being able to switch course and change and
Mhm.
prioritize. And I
Correct.
think that's seriously important still. But it needs to come hand in hand with a vision for the year or longer. Because if you're always flipping between things, then the teams can't invest as much headspace or get ahead of or really commit to what they're doing. So I think building out that vision and being really clear about that is incredibly important. We another thing actually was getting a coach. So I think us Brits, it's a bit of a new phenomenon really. I think maybe we're a bit behind the times there, but I kept meeting people saying that Tom should get a coach. It'll make a real big difference. And I was really skeptical for a long time, but this time last year I did that, and it made a huge difference to me as a leader. I think having someone who's solely there to push you, and they're in the service. It's just a different kind of relationship to a manager or investors or the board.
Correct.
They're there to get the most out of you, but they're there for you, but they push you in a different way. And I think I found that really interesting. And then just having someone who's interacting with different CEOs with their problems as well, and able to bring that in is really useful. So I've got a lot out of that. I've obviously got a lot to say around OKRs, KPIs, that kind of thing. I think that a lot of people get wrong, and we've got wrong. Even though like, I
Mhm.
think about this every single day and have done for over 10 years, it's easy to get a little bit too puritanical about it and wish that you could track everything and do everything in terms of combining the kind of, well, let's say with OKRs, right? Normally pick a KR for your quarter, and it might be something
Sure.
like we want to increase the conversion rates, demos or something by 50% or something. And you might have a load of
Sure.
stuff going on in that quarter. But whether you're going to, you give that to the team, but if you give that to the team without kind of a view over how they're going to do it and just give it to them as the pure kind of KR, then often you lose a lot of time to, well, is this possible or how we're going to approach it rather than going in
Sure.
with a plan. Actually, look, this is what we're trying to achieve, but these are the things that we think are how we're going to get there. But then also, who's responsible for whether you hit that or not is often a little bit different as well. Like, an
Holding
example,
people accountable across
yeah,
the
'cause
board.
often actually maybe I've chosen a poor example, but with engineering products in particular, like let's say that we've got an engineering OKR to improve the conversion rate again of a feature or something.
Sure.
Like the decision to work on that is probably a leadership decision over whether we're working on that or not. The team aren't accountable for whether for that vision piece. They're accountable for delivering on the piece of work. But I think with OKRs, people often lump them together a little bit too much, and you end up kind of not separating out execution from the strategic piece. And ultimately, if you're in a business that's doing experimental stuff, not everything's going to work, and you need to treat that differently from and evaluate it probably a different cadence to whether you're evaluating whether you executed on the vision, like whether that's the right thing to. You might find out for another 6 months, and that's okay. And you need to know what to do. But if you combine them, you end up with really weird things where teams end up really demotivated. So, like, well, we can't tell affected this business metric in that time.
Yeah. And I think it goes all the way back to what you said earlier, set out a vision, have a longer term view of your vision. So how does this relate all the way back to the OKRs you set it forth? If you have a 5 or 10 year vision, how is this all playing together?
Mm,
And honestly, I also think it comes back to you having a coach. You said, A, have a vision,
mm,
think long term.
mm,
And there's a really great book I've been reading. It literally just talks about that 5 steps ahead. or 5 moves ahead,
Okay.
thinking, what is that going to look like? So you're working towards
Mm,
that. And the second thing is, I've been a Vistage member for such a long time now, which is the business CEO groups that you're part of. And I
mm,
can't stress how important that is to have
yeah,
a coach or be part of a group and then setting these OKRs. I think it all comes together. Tom, that's excellent advice, by the way.
yeah,
And I think as people, one, a sense of vulnerability. I tell people all the time, I think there's nothing wrong with having a coach, and I seek them out. I have
yeah,
an actual coach, plus I'm part of a Visage group.
yeah.
So it all plays together. Tom, thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
Excellent.
Love the product. Love what you guys are doing. If you want to visualize data and share it with that CEO leader who's been like, show me what we got, you got to reach out to Geckoboard so they can actually help you put it all together, and they make it super simple to do so. Tom, if people are interested to learn more about you, how can they find out more about you and how can they find out more about the company?
Well, I'm active on LinkedIn, so help me out, Tom Randle, Geckoboard, and then also go to geckoboard.com. And we've got a free trial so you can get up and running straight away. We're also on the HubSpot marketplace. So if you search Geckoboard there, you'll find us.
Awesome. Well, Tom, thank you again. And I appreciate all the listeners who've joined us again today. That really wraps up our conversation, which again, this really features app developers or software developers who've either built their apps on HubSpot or integrated with HubSpot. Our goal is to help you get the most out of your HubSpot tech stack. Again, thanks for joining. It's been a pleasure.